Good morning. It's me again, Cobus Burgers from NETCB. And this session will be a very comprehensive but in very compact session with regards to our own records management solution called HybridRMS, which we have developed ourselves. I just need to state something at the beginning. Our solution is modeled on the Vibe technology, originally developed by Novell and then by Micro Focus, and now part of OpenText. Obviously, OpenText as an enterprise content management leader company, we do not position ourselves as in competition with their existing records management solutions, because we have got a very specific target market towards whom we are targeting our HybridRMS solution. It's also one of the lower cost records management systems that you can use as an entry into records management until maybe you want to go up to the bigger type of platforms, such as the OpenText ECM platforms. Okay. Very important when it comes to records management is that people need to form a very good understanding what records management is all about. Now, our solution is modeled on the ISO 16175 standard, which is the minimum functional requirements for records management. Now, the core functions of this standard is built around the following core functional areas. It's a capture, identification, establish of your classification scheme, maintenance of your classification scheme. It must include hybrid records. It means it needs to take care of your paper records as well as your physical and digital records. It needs to deal with your retention and disposal processes, your dissemination or sharing of the information within a system, as well as the administration of the system. Now, this slide is very difficult to go through at length. Quite often people love this slide because it summarizes the entire ISO 16175 on a single slide. And you are welcome to contact me after this session or after the conference, and I will gladly share this presentation with you. But this really encapsulates what the whole ISO 16175 standard is all about. There are also some related standards in terms of the 16175, which is the ISO 23081, which is the information and documentation, records management process, metadata for records, how you set up your metadata, the principles behind that. Obviously, closely aligned with this is the 15489, which is a global standard for records management in terms of various practices within records management frameworks. When we start to look at just within South Africa, there are quite a number of laws and regulations in South Africa that govern or reference records management. To date, there is about 30 legislative frameworks that references records management and records management practices, apart from the National Archives Act. So it is really critical. I'm not going to go through this list individually because it will take us the whole day. But it is important to understand records management is something you cannot be without. Quite often, a question is asked now, what constitutes a record? A record Obviously, it starts with the creation process where something that may be regarded as a record is created, gets distributed, needs to move to active storage, sometimes to inactive storage or retention. There may be rules to either get rid of it after a certain time period or archive it. So obviously, certain types of records may be temporary. So authorization is then for disposal after a certain retention period. Some records are regarded as permanent, and disposal is not authorized and must be kept forever. A typical example of that are things such as title deeds, etc. Anything that can represent a historical event or transaction or what may have evidentiary value must be classified as a record. So it's important to take those things into account. Now, the following are typical record categories, such as accounting records, property records, share registration records, almost anything within the financial services industry, employee records, insurance records, name it. Anything that may be asked for as evidence should be treated as a record. So don't always throw those things into the dustbin once you've purchased something. It may become a record later on. Build your own filing system and keep and maintain your records. Now, there are different formats of a record and how it is presented. It may be physical documents, electronic documents, maybe an electronic transaction, maybe audiovisual. In the days of the microform or the microfilm type of component, microfiche, before the age of digital information. Obviously today we digitize all of that information, in any case, into electronic form. Majority of email communications is regarded as a record. Even meetings and events are records. Even this net.Share event, the sessions has been presented here, are regarded as records of NETCB. Now, what is our HybridRMS solution? Now, first of all, our HybridRMS is a management system to manage both physical and digital records. So it is a hybrid records management system. So we allow you to keep track of both your paper-based records as well as your physical records. It is a web-based application, and it can also be accessed from mobile devices. It also, because we are using the Vibe platform at the moment, it includes comprehensive document management capabilities. We're also creating add-ons for e-signatures, and we have one major project for next year's release for PDF rendering and OCR capabilities. We use the ISO 16175 as the baseline for records management, and it is also based on the open source based content management platform for managing the content. So as I mentioned, it was developed as an extension for the Vibe platform. We also had it audited in November 2016 and validated for compliance to ISO 16175. Each implementation of our records management solution at every customer, however, is very unique. Every customer have got their own unique requirements, their own type of file plans, their own processes that needs to be applied. So it's largely a consulting engagement with customers. when we implement a solution. But the one benefit it provides, it is one platform for both document management and records management. It also allows us to implement other processes that it may not be directly related to records management, but the output of those processes quite often results in those items becoming records. So there's different modules that we categorize within this framework. Is the obviously the main component of the system is the HybridRMS for records management. There's an upcoming module for electronic signatures where we're going to integrate it with the SigniFlow platform in South Africa. We already have an elementary integration, but we are busy working on a very tight integration with SigniFlow. It also provides for correspondence management. There's a report writing mechanism. Another module that we hopefully by middle of next year it will be ready is the automated OCR rendering as well as PDF rendering because they're part of the same mechanism. Now, if we start to look at the overall HybridRMS architecture, the system supports 5 backend database platforms. So it's extremely flexible from an implementation perspective. The solution can run on both Linux and Windows servers, and it is some organizations may start with a single server implementation, some will have a multi-node implementation, and you can then easily scale it as it grows larger and larger and you add more and more users that need to access the system. So first of all, there will always be a database server in this environment, so you always have the database server capability. So it's important to know that there is always a database server. We recommend the MariaDB platform. We also established like a shared storage server where the actual records will be stored, whether it's scanned documents or whether it is other electronic content where it will be stored. And then you have what we call the worker nodes. The worker nodes provide the application framework and also contain the HybridRMS applications. And these worker nodes can be expanded and duplicated to improve the load on the system. We also have the indexer nodes. Quite often, we increase the indexer nodes to improve the performance on the system. When a multitude of indexers are required, and then it gets front-ended by a load balancer that can distribute the load to the system to support thousands of users. In this country, we all actually have quite a number of implementations already, such as the College Sabani local municipality, which have got a full-blown records file management plan. There's also the City of Umputuzi that also have got an implementation of the system. Then there's also the National Research Foundation, which also have an implementation of the system. We also have the SIU that is more focused on the business application side of things, with various applications that we've developed for them on this platform. And then obviously NETCB ourselves, we are also extensive users of this platform, and all our content is always maintained on this platform. As I mentioned, it also includes what we call document management. So this allows you to have full version control, minor release versions, major release versions, recovery to jumping back to previous versions, escalating, replacing the current version with the previous version. So it provides all of those functionalities, including access rights and access controls to these documents based on individual users, based on roles, based on location on the system, because it has got a hierarchical configuration structure on how you build your knowledge trees within the system. It also has got some flexibility to build business workflows. We, for example, run our leave system through it as well, where you can actually almost implement any kind of business process on this platform. From a project management perspective, the platform Vibe also assists quite significantly to build project workspaces, because quite often the output from project workspaces eventually will become records. Even within our own organization, we extensively make use of the project workspaces within the Vibe platform. There's also what we call the desktop file sync capability. This is very similar to what Filer does, very similar to what Dropbox, OneDrive, etc. does, and it allows for the synchronization of what is on your local drive to your personal workspace or project workspaces that you participate with at that point. Now, when it comes to the records management side of things, is that we visualize the file plan for the user, so they understand the structure of the file plan, they understand how they need to file systems, and obviously they only see the portions of the file plan where they have got access rights to. The file plan follow the same principles that is required within most governments within the SADC region, whether it's in Namibia, Botswana. We all follow more or less the same records management practices. And even here we can see, like, you have your file plan main series, you have your file plan sub-series, and then underneath that the records files are located. Another aspect of the system is when you look at the records file, each records file has got a file plan reference, and then it shows you what records are actually contained within that records file. In this case, obviously, I redacted some information for confidentiality purposes. And then you can jump into a record, either view it, look at the status, see the record type. Even these different types, depending on what your metadata capturing requirements are, this is completely customizable within your records management environment. As I mentioned, this is a hybrid records management system. We allow you to print the cover pages of your paper records, and this will then cross-reference your the records file within the digital records management system. So within electronic records management system, we create a link that directly references the paper-based records management system. So in the old days, you first opened up your paper-based physical records file. What now happens is that you open up your electronic records file, and if you know you're going to have paper-based copies in that records file, you just need to print the cover page of the records file and stick it onto the actual records file. So no need for duplication of capturing. We even make provision on the these paper files where you can paste the stickers from, let's say you moved your documents off to Metrofile or Document Warehouse. Those references that they provide you with in the boxes where these files are going, you can put that also onto your records files, and then we allow you to scan and capture those barcodes onto the digital version of the records file. So we maintain a completely cross-references framework that allows you, when you look at the digital file, you can immediately see whether this file has already been moved offsite or maybe archived at a document storage facility, and you know exactly where it is stored in that document storage facility. We provide quite a comprehensive administration mechanism for managing the metadata. You can build it either by organization, but every aspect of your organization in terms of the custom metadata you need to capture, we can assist you to build very comprehensive metadata profiles. Some organizations only capture a limited amount of metadata. Some organizations have got a requirement to capture quite in-depth metadata. So we can take it across the board in quite details. For example, in this case, especially within government spheres, you need to define your disposal authorities. We capture those disposal authorities, and this can then be applied to the record files, and then generate reports on that, so that you know what needs to be happen when a disposal authority rules are triggered. We also have comprehensive search capabilities where you can locate based on almost any type of metadata field to locate the records on the system. Every record on the system has got a unique ID. Each records file has got a unique ID, so it is very easy to locate those records and look at the metadata and then actually view the record digitally on the system. If the record is not digitized, then you still have the metadata of the record, but it will then indicate what is the physical location of that record. So all in all, it provides us with a very comprehensive records governance environment. As I mentioned, barcoded cover sheets can be generated for non-electronic record files. You can even go as far as printing out the index pages for those non-electronic record files. Administrators also get notified when your end users make new record submissions so that they can validate the record as an actual record, because records management processes require of us to validate the authenticity of a record, and if this is an actual record that should be placed in the records management system. There's also comprehensive auditing across the board. All administrator and user actions are audited. Now, because the system has got various workflow capabilities, the workflows reduce the manual steps that are required. Certain steps can be automated. There's various custom template notifications. We can customize it for your specific environment. Various sub-workflows may need to be launched at certain stages or interactions by the end users into the workflows. Escalations can be generated, and we can even generate performance metrics based on the data extracted from the various workflows running on the system. The standard workflows that are already provided with the system deals with the records submission process, the records filing process, and then also the records disposal processes. Obviously, the records filing process can be done via email submission, direct upload to the system, via an intranet link that you provide to users, through a digitization process, or it may be all existing records in your records filing system and you go through a backscanning process to digitize all your existing paper-based records. Our records management system is very much designed for government agencies and specifically for municipalities. So it's very particular in the way we structure it, although there are certain, it can be very well adjusted for government departments, etc. as well. Key processes that we quite often find on municipal processes are clearance certificates, payment requests, incoming email, correspondence management, and the report writing processes are your typical type of systems that you find in terms of this. Already at one of our clients, you can see here, it's one of the screenshots where they already managing e-sign requests, incoming email, facsimiles, etc. Documents that's being scanned from various systems. As you can see, and when something is ready for the file plan, then the records administrators are notified. Going forward, with the next release of our system, scheduled for the second quarter next year, the Signiflow e-signature integration should be very comprehensive, as well as the automated OCR of submitted scanned PDF documents. Also analyzing existing scanned PDF documents, whether they have been OCR'd or not. We're also working on a little bit more intelligence for the automated location of updated records with metadata to the file plan. Also the import and export mechanism of a file plan. File plans evolve over time, and quite often file plans need to be submitted to national registry, and we already have the process in beta testing to export the format that is required by National Archives in terms of their file plans. We are also working on a far more simplified records filing and file opening procedure, as well as a simplified record submissioning process. And then a lot of the reporting interfaces will be far more user-friendly. At the moment, unfortunately, you need to understand the underlying system very well to be able to generate the correct reports. But one of our clients is already using our advanced framework for reporting on the system, such as the SIU, the Special Investigating Unit. There's also going to be enhanced disposition management, where at the moment you need to generate the reports to understand what needs to happen in terms of disposal authorities, and we're working on a mechanism to automate many of those actions and the reports that's been generated, as well as simplified installation scripts for the system. This is still way in the future and it may change over time, but this is what we already have on the radar is for the HybridRMS version 6, is where we actually wanted to start to stand on its own 2 feet, so that there's not going to be a dependency on a specific content management system. It will allow us with far more interoperability between different document management systems, so that only the records management part will be maintained, and one will be able to slot in different document management systems underneath it, even the open text document management frameworks. We definitely will add support for Microsoft SharePoint as well as Windows 365. And we will also have migration tools from other records management systems as well as to other records management systems to allow customers that flexibility. Quite often you have customers that cannot justify huge expenses, they're limited in budgeting capabilities, but they need to start with an entry-level records management system, and then we are the ideal platform to get them going and take them forward in terms of their records management practices. But then we will allow them to, in the future, to migrate to even the open text platforms as well. And that's it from my side for this session. I see I kept really good to time this time. I don't see any questions from anyone. I'll keep the session open for a bit. If there's any person that wants to mention something on a chat, etc., you're more than welcome to do so. Thank you very much. And you're now welcome to join any of the upcoming sessions.